It is not unusual for someone born with newspaper ink in their veins to have started his career as a paperboy. But this year's New Mexico Press Association Hall of Fame inductee, Scot Stinnett, goes one better.
In the early 50s, my great-grandfather bought 2 weekly papers in Portales and made a daily called the Portales Daily News. And another family in Portales at that time had a daily paper called the Portales Tribune. They merged them eventually, the two families, and they became the Portales News Tribune. And so I grew up at the Portales News Tribune. My first job was an assistant paper boy because I wasn't old enough to get a route. I had to be 12 to get a route, so I could substitute when I was 11. So that's how I got started in the business. And I was everything from the darkroom guy to the janitor to the sports writer.
He and his wife Lisa have published the Baca County News since 1992. They also published the Clovis Livestock News.
It's been kind of a successful thing. It's allowed us to have 2 weekly papers in a town that can barely support one. So.
And he gets help from interesting places.
We're fairly modern here. We do everything on computer, and we build our pages on computer, and then we PDF them and email them to Clovis. And my mother, who's 76, lives in Clovis and picks up our paper at the Clovis News Journal on Wednesday morning and brings it over here, and she does our racks, delivers to our racks, and we come in and we do our own mail here, and that's kind of how we do it.
What Scot does can be summed up well in his answer to why there are no bylines on the front page of the paper.
I mean, there's no point in promoting yourself, I don't think, when everybody knows you did it anyway.
But Scot's contributions go well beyond being the glue that holds his community together.
Scot had a special personality. He almost came out as one of Zane Grey's novels, like The Code of the West, and he has a very good personality for dealing very directly with people.
Well, the thing about Scot is over the years I never knew him to turn down a request to do something for the Press Association or for the newspapers in the state of New Mexico.
Well, he had unlimited amounts of energy, enormous tolerance for different points of views, and doggedness that allowed him to see it through to the point that he was able to get the committee to come forward and adopt a comprehensive rewrite of our open records law.
He has played a key role in the fight for open government. He was instrumental in launching the Foundation for Open Government, served as NMPA's representative on a task force to rewrite IPRA, and has taken on the role of plaintiff in at least 2 critical lawsuits for transparency.
My focus was always open government because those were the problems that faced us all at that time. There were a lot more independents then and a lot more guys that were on shorter strings as far as the money was concerned. And there's no question in my mind that those problems are what led to the creation of the Foundation for Open Government.
Scot was really a driving force in thinking about how would be an efficient and effective way to make public records available to the press and to the public.
Look, open record advocates in New Mexico owe Scot an enormous debt of gratitude because as the chair of that task force, he led the development of this rewrite of New Mexico's open records law. And though that statute didn't get adopted in the 1991 legislative session, it set forth the framework that was adopted in 1993 and now establishes all of the procedures we enjoy to enforce the Open Records Act.
He was one of the people who was very effective at just being able to sort of amble up and say, guys, this just isn't working. How can we make this better? And he could just kind of shucks his way right through the roundhouse. He did it in a very civil way. I don't recall anybody saying that they considered him an enemy. He was just very effective. And for many years on many issues, he was the Press Association's most effective lobbyist, even though that wasn't really his job.
Scot was able to go up to Santa Fe and do battle with the legislature and the governor's office on all these issues, and he was very well respected and He was extremely helpful to the Press Association during those years. He may have inherited a little bit that from his father, Marshall Stinnett, who had that same knack. And a person's word is his bond, and a handshake is more important than a contract. And Scott had all those kind of ranching elements in his personality. When he would go in and talk to the legislators and the people that were working on those issues, he was very, very effective, and he really helped not only the Press Association but the entire newspaper industry in the state.
Publishing a small-town newspaper for 20 years is tough duty. It takes hard work, dedication, and persistence, qualities he came by as an athlete at Portales High School and Eastern New Mexico University, and later as a competitive roper. And how does this year's Hall of Fame inductee sum up his role as a newspaperman?
This will irritate a lot of these great newspaper guys, but we're scrapbook builders, especially at this level. And if we're not scrapbook builders, then we're not serving our readers. If they're not cutting it out and putting it on the refrigerator and then transferring it into the scrapbook, then we're not doing our job. And once you lose that, you lose your place in the community, I think.
Congratulations to Scot Stinnett, the 2012 Press Association Hall of Fame inductee.